to
Whoa,
the.
whoa, 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 whoa. Welcome to the Springboard Plancha Podcast. We are here today, live. Let's get it. We are here. We're gonna talk some wrestling and you're gonna listen.
Oh, okay then. I guess we are
Okay.
gonna. I guess we. I guess
We're gonna talk some wrestling
we're
today.
gonna talk some wrestling, guys. Today, as always, I'm Johnny T, joined by my beautiful co-host, Tribal Cheese, and Mr. Zero. And today we're here to talk to y'all about Monday Night Raw live from Albany, New York, the December 4th edition of Monday Night Raw. And the big thing tonight was we had a World Heavyweight title match tonight with Seth Rollins versus main event Jey Uso. And damn, that was a good ass match. My goodness, I really, really enjoyed that match. Seth Rollins obviously retains, but what a good, solid 20 to 25 minutes of just back and forth, a lot of close calls. Had me believing that maybe Jey might actually, would they actually pull the belt off of Seth here? Didn't end up doing it, but I thought Jey looked amazing here. A clean win for Seth. No shenanigans until after the match, but really, really good. That's about as good as a World Championship match on free television I think you could get. So that was easily my match of the night. I really, really enjoyed that match and how it ended. Post match, we got Drew McIntyre wrecking shop on Jey Uso, throwing him through a table. We'll get into Drew's dissension and more dissension into his heel character here in a little bit. But start us off, Mr. Cheese, with what you thought about Mr. Cheese, Tribal Cheese.
Oh,
Start us
Tribal
off, Mr. Tribal Cheese.
right. It's tribal cheese. I'm Mister.
Yeah, I
Cut
got.
out the Mister right now, okay.
Start
I know
us
you
off.
think it's funny, but it's not funny, okay.
Oh,
okay.
excuse me.
let's
I'm
talk
very,
about-
very sorry. Well, let's talk.
Let's go ahead and talk about Jey Uso versus Seth Rollins. I mean, obviously, I 100% agree with you. This match was fire. It was a premium live match, right? It felt like a pay-per-view match. That's how good it was, right? I will say it was a little funky when they were cutting away to commercials during the match. I've never seen so many commercials during like the back end of the matches, but hey, it happens sometimes, right? Real quickly, let's talk about Jey Uso's entrance, man. Like that's where it's at right now. His entrance is lit, man. Right now, I want to say Jey Uso's entrance is about as good as it gets in the business. I mean, he's got the crowd. His little crowd wave thing is just really caught on right now. I will say that Jey Uso has arrived. Everybody's known it for some time, but I mean, he really is. He is a serious threat now for that heavyweight title. I mean, Jey Uso is amazing in the ring, right? He had me believing he was going to win the title tonight, and I really didn't think so. I mean, even his little promos backstage before the match, I was thinking he really selling this. Like he knows he's probably not going to win, but he's like, it's my time, right? And you get that little bit of let's take our face moment off, both of them. Like let's take our face moment off, and I don't like you, you don't like me, but this is how friendly it's going to get, type of thing. Great match. I didn't like the win. I'm gonna say this. I know this is an unpopular opinion. I don't like the clean win, and there's a reason why I don't like the clean win, because I think this takes a little bit of steam away from Jey Uso. I mean, he's beat clean. He's beat clean, right? When you have a clean win, somebody moves up and somebody moves down. That's just how it is, because now Jey Uso's buried for at least a little while. Next up, right? Next up, the next person has got to come up. So now here's the deal. If there's shenanigans, then everybody's left thinking, oh man, he could have won. He could have won. Like the credibility is not taken from him, and neither is it from Seth, right? Now, obviously, there's a clean win. Where do they go next with Seth now? Do they just run it back? Because I don't think that Jey, has earned a back-to-back shot if he hasn't gotten any wins yet. So that's my opinion right now. I don't like the clean win. So what do you think about that? What do you think about that, JT? I know you like clean wins.
Well, in this case, I don't think it. This comes as a detriment to Jey Uso, because I mean he had him there a bunch of times. The double splash and the two kickouts on that was pretty. That was a pretty big moment. You got a bunch of holy shit chants on that, and he was like he came this close, right? That's how it felt. It felt like he came this close. So I don't think there's a way you can always do these where the loser still doesn't lose steam and doesn't look bad. Eventually, that person does have to get a big significant win to keep the momentum high. But I think Jey Uso is just such a hot character right now that I don't think you need him to win every match, and I don't think you need him to necessarily win the world title right now. I will say this though. Jay, based on the work that he's been doing, will sooner than later, though, need a run with the championship. With a championship. It doesn't matter which one it is. Just a championship. Because I think.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Johnny T. If Jey Uso thinks he's going to ever get his hands on that title and get away from being this close every single time, he's going to have to change that Uso splash. Because right now, it's just an Uso splotch. He ain't hitting. He can hit it 5 times against Seth Rollins, and it will do nothing. Seth Rollins going to kick out of that every time. You can't have that be your finisher if it doesn't finish anybody.
And maybe, and Zero, you have a little bit of a point there, which is why I made this note that although he did use the splash 2 times, right? He actually brought out the spear, which was kind of interesting to me because who would he learn the spear from? The person that he had been with the previous 3 years. Like, so you feel like you have to bring that out of the bag in order to win a championship. That might be furthering the ascension of Jey Uso's character. Obviously the splash didn't win, so maybe that is kind of a way to kind of transition him into developing something different that could get the win. I think where you go with this going forward, though, to answer your question, is I think what you're headed for. I don't think you're headed for another one-on-one with Drew. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But I would like to see, because we haven't seen this, correct me if I'm wrong, throughout Seth Rollins' World Heavyweight Championship run, he's only competed in one-on-one matches, right? There hasn't been any triple threat or fatal 4-way for that title, right? I mean, this title's only been active for less than a year, but I can't recall them having a triple threat match or a fatal 4-way match, a multiple man match for this title yet. I think he's only had one-on-one matches, right? So could you do a triple threat match between Drew, Jay, and Seth? I think you could, and I think I would like to see all those 3 guys interact at the same time in a match. I mean, these are now 2 guys that have both lost to Seth one-on-one, but can he handle them both at the same time? Right? I think that's where you could go with it. That's my thoughts on that.
What happens if Seth wins again?
Then I mean it's fine. You're obviously you got something bigger planned for him then at that point. But this is a good way to kind of keep it going. As like we've said it plenty of times over the last week or so, we still have 6-7 weeks before the Royal Rumble, so you got a lot of time to play with here. So you got to find a way to kind of fill it. And I think you have something big planned for Seth at WrestleMania. If that's what we're all thinking. So unfortunately, you can't take the title off of him. You just can't. I mean, I guess you could. It would be very shocking if they did. But if you do have that big plan for him, you're just not, you're not going to be able to take it off. So how do you fill in the gaps there? Well, you can do another one-on-one match with him and Drew, I guess. But we've already seen that, right? We've already seen one-on-one with Jay. But what about a triple threat? It gets all 3 guys in the ring at the same time. 3 main eventers. Throwing in that thing that Seth hasn't lost a one-on-one match for the title, but in this opportunity, he could lose the title without even getting pinned himself. Another kind of interesting thing in there. What if you throw that kind of threat in there? I think it creates an interesting dynamic. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, Sami Zayn's not going to be a part of this. I think they wrote him off TV today. at least for a little while. But so there you go. You got those three guys in that particular storyline there. If you're going to keep all three of those guys involved in it, that's the way you do it, right? I don't think you do Drew versus Seth again with Jey sitting on the outside. That's just me. But you got anything else on that, Zero? Because you had some major, shocking opinions on that. You came with the heat.
And a major personality change as well.
And for you to tell me.
What you got, Zero? What you got?
Yeah, I know y'all said Jey Uso tried using the spear, but what did it lead him to? Straight down head first into a pedigree. What is he going to do with that? He needs to cut that out. He is not the tribal chief. Right now, he's barely even main event Jey Uso. He might end up next week being mid-card Jey Uso.
Ooh, man, that is...
Yep.
Oof, ouch.
And that's what happens when you have him lose clean. That's what happens. He ends up starting to move down the ladder. And somebody moves up the ladder in clean losses and clean wins. You said he was this close. No, you're this close when there's shenanigans. You're this close when there's shenanigans. But when somebody beats you clean, you might as well be that close. You might as well be... you lose by a mile. When you get beat clean, you lost by a mile.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Never been spoken.
I don't agree with that. I mean, we don't have to agree on everything, but I don't necessarily agree with that all the way because I think there's a way you can definitely still have a clean match, but still not necessarily have. I mean, you got to have a winner and a loser, right? No matter what, that's kind of how that goes. But I don't think it hurts him. I really don't think it hurts him. He'll come back next week and still be Jey Uso, and people will cheer for him. People will have fun with him, and he'll still be a serious contender. But you know, I just don't think
he's not going to lose popularity.
I don't think
he's
now
going to lose his place in position for that world heavyweight title, right? That's what we're talking about. He moves down the ladder.
If that's the way that WWE even structures this whole thing at this point, I don't know because Drew is still there and he already lost, right? But he's probably going to get a title shot now, right? So, right? Did it hurt Drew McIntyre that he lost to Seth?
When did Drew lose to Seth? Refresh my memory.
He lost to Seth at Crown Jewel. They had the match for the title at Crown Jewel.
We should have crickets chirping right now.
I don't know.
Where's our soundboard?
I mean, I remember that match. It was a pretty good one, but.
Must have not been a great match.
It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt Drew McIntyre. In fact, he's getting,
Well, apparently it did because he moved down the ladder and main event Jey Uso got that title shot number 1.
Let me tell you something. It did hurt Drew McIntyre.
And for doing what? See, that's what I'm trying to say. No. I'm gonna cut you off for a minute because I'm trying to tell you what you want to make sense. I get it. But then how does Jey Uso get a title shot then? He didn't beat anybody. When was the last time Jey Uso won?
Jey Uso came on to SmackDown, and when usually you make your debut, came on to Raw, and when you make your debut, you're right away in that contender situation. Sure. And since he hasn't lost, because you're saying he hasn't won, but he also hadn't lost to nobody. He wins at War Games. Mm-hmm. He's already hot with the crowd. He gets that shot, right?
Yeah.
But now he's lost clean, not shenanigans. He's lost clean. Seth beat him. Seth has proved once again he's at the top. So now you say, okay, well, Jay's not good enough to beat Seth. Drew's not good enough to beat Seth. So yeah, you're probably right. It's going to go to a triple threat. And guess what? Neither one of them are going to win again because Seth is going to retain that title one more time.
Sure, because that's where we're all going with it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I will say this about Drew. I liked his personality change tonight. He needed to show a more devastating side of him, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
He put on a clinic tonight. And that is the type of McIntyre that we need to see so he can beat Seth Rollins.
Yes, and so with that being said, because that's a good way to sequitur into the beginning of the show, which pretty much sets what's going to happen at the end up, which is Drew McIntyre coming out to the ring and cutting a pretty another fiery promo a little bit more kind of diving deeper into that heelish persona. Sami Zayn cuts him off. They have a back and forth, and this is I really did like this promo because they're trying, and it goes back to that whole thing of like what they've been doing for the past like maybe 2 or 3 weeks now, where they're trying to justify why Drew is turning into what he's turning into, because you kind of it's kind of that you just keep all these things keep happening to him. You keep talking a lot of mess to someone. Eventually, they're gonna not want to take it anymore, right? And I thought Sami Zayn really kind of fucked up by throwing his family into there, and that's where I think that tipping point for Drew took off tonight, and it led to our first match of the night, which was the Drew versus Sami Zayn match, which I thought was a pretty good, a really good, a good opener. It was a great opener. I really enjoyed that match from start to finish. Drew working pretty much heel throughout all this match, really, and then ending with really intense heelish moves, capitalizing on Sammy's messed up knee, and then hitting him with just an ugly looking claymore without. Now he did it once, right? But the second time he didn't do the 3, 2, 1 thing to get the crowd with it. He just hit it, pin Sammy, and then stood over him and asked the referee to raise his hand while he was standing over Sammy. Wow, yeah, Zero, I'm with you, man. That personality change just in that first segment and the end of that match. Man, I was like, okay. I'm down with this Drew McIntyre. I knew he's capable of doing this. I just needed to start seeing it, and well, I got in this segment. This is a A+ segment. I know we're not giving grades on segments, but this was a really good A+ start to this got me hyped for the start of this show. I mean, go ahead, Zero. What you got, man? Tell me what you got for this. Since you were the one that brought up his personality change, expand on that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You saw it live. Drew McIntyre has finally turned heel. He's out of that quasi heel that the cheese has been talking about. He is full on heel, and it was a good back and forth match. I wanted to see a blue Thunderbomb, and I got my blue Thunderbomb. But that chop block at the end, setting up the Claymore, was absolutely beautiful.
It was a good looking Claymore. Tribal Cheese, what you got?
One more thing.
Go ahead, Zero.
One more thing. I had a little side note, and it was a question for all y'all. It's who has the better hair, Drew, Sammy, or Tribal Cheese? I will let you be the judge.
Well, I'm gonna vote for myself, so you guys can be the. You guys can let me know.
Yourself. What a cocky asshole.
Wait, hold on. Before you guys decide, you know what I mean? Like,
I gotta decide now. I gotta analyze things. I gotta look at the tape. I gotta really see how the hair flows on each person to make sure. So I want to make this call. I'm gonna make this call. I gotta make it the right one. Because I gotta be fair, and I gotta make sure that if I pick the right person, that it's not gonna make Drew or Roman fall in the tier of hair. Because if I do, God forbid that they lose clean on the hair choice, they won't be able to come back from it. So I have to make sure I pick the right hair, make sure I do it right.
Well, I for one know it's not going to be. I for one know it's not going to be either JT or Mr. Zero down there that's going to win the contest. So
no, I don't like my hair, so I hate my hair. But so.
Yeah, so this match, this is gonna be one of those rare times. I completely agree with both of you guys. This match was great. It was a wonderful match from start to finish, and you're absolutely 100% right, both of you. Drew McIntyre, I think he finally found it. I think he finally found where he's comfortable. I call him despicable Drew McIntyre because he's doing some dirty, I wanted to call him dirty Drew McIntyre, but Dom has that title already, so I said despicable because I want to see him do some things that are not so, well received by the crowd, and that's what we got tonight, right? Drew does really good on the mic. He makes things very personal. He makes things very much believable. I think it was a great. I think we almost talked about this on one of the last podcasts, which was hurting Sammy, right? Like something like that, like hurting somebody, right? We said we need him to hurt somebody, and that's exactly what we got tonight. You know, we got a great match. We got that chop block that Zero pointed out, right? We're gonna call it the chop block. I want to see him use that more often, right? Like, what if that's a new move for him? This dirty chop block, and instead of them getting on their feet for the 3-2-1, he gives them the claymore while they're on their knees. Still, I mean, like,
it could be good. It could be a good head off. It could be a good setup.
It could be a good setup, right?
Or
they're like on one knee or something.
Yeah, or just capitalizing on like anything that could be hurt, like, and then that's a setup to whatever. But I kind of like that. I think I could see that being a thing,
like a chop block, and it's like an impromptu curb stomp, only from the side of the head with the claymore kick, which is pretty despicable when you really stop and think about it. So, love where Drew's going. Looking forward to this. He keeps saying one thing though, and I want to hear you guys' opinion, because he keeps saying,
I know where you're going.
The truth will set you free. Mm-hmm. What is he talking about? Anybody got an idea?
I guess they're setting up for his WrestleMania match with R-Truth at some point. That's probably where they're going with it.
Well, that just made my day.
No, that's a great that's a great question, and I think I heard him say it at least twice tonight. And I found that interesting because I was trying to think about if anyone has said that. I know who has, and it doesn't make sense in this spectrum. It used to be the how R-Truth's entrance was, like, it would say, "The truth will set you free." So I know it's not R-Truth, because I know that's not where they're going with this. But I was trying to think who said that before. If somebody has, I was thinking, has CM Punk said something like that before in a promo? But then I'm like, maybe is that where they're going for CM Punk's first feud? Could it be Drew? Because Drew, I mean, I don't know. It could, right? Because he did mention that at the beginning of his promo. Drew's first paragraph or a couple of sentences were directed right at CM Punk, right? With everything that he said. I mean, then he said it could be anybody. But I could be talking about anybody.
Here, that's what he was saying. Right?
Yeah.
They just forgive anybody. So,
but that was pretty much directed towards CM Punk. But I was trying. I'll need to look into that and see where that quote is coming from and what the meaning of it could be. Maybe there's a deeper meaning there. But for him to say it twice. They're trying to make fetch happen. I don't know, but
it's gonna be his new T-shirt. The truth will set you free.
It'll be something. But that opening match, that opening segment was straight fireballs, man. It was a great way to start the show. I mean, I got my eyes open, like, whoo, this is gonna be that kind of a show, huh? All right, let's see what else you got. And so we roll right on to the Jey Uso video package to hype up the main event, which I thought was really, really cool. It was a nice put together video package. Jey Uso, believe it or not, tonight was him and Jimmy's 14-year anniversary of signing with WWE. They've been in WWE for 14 years. That's insane. I mean, jeez. And so, I mean, the career work that those two guys have done in the last 14 years that's Hall of Fame stuff. I think they're Hall of Fame bound no matter what happens the rest of their careers at this point. But that package was really, really good. I thought it really got me hyped for that main event. Like, oh, okay, what we're gonna get. And then speaking of Jey Uso, just a quick note. I did notice in this package, it kind of caught my eye, which I started to kind of research as to, there wasn't any mention of the word yeet or anything like that. After that,
crowd was saying
after that's been, other than the crowd, there was no mention in the video package, any kind of yeet chant or yeet calls or anything like that. I thought maybe they were going for like just, because this is a serious promo. But then I looked it up, and yeah, WWE is having a hard time with the trademark for the word yeet. So as of this point, he can't use that word, and there was no merchandise of that. He can't wear the merchandise, he can't sell it, and he can't say it. Neither can anybody else in WWE, and that was evident.
Yikes.
We didn't get one yeet mention or anything throughout the show, and I thought that kind of killed later on in the show. I thought that, I mean, the one-on-one with Adam Pearce, like, I thought, man, that kind of like softened his talk there, because you usually get one of those in there, and it's a really catchy catchphrase, but I guess it's not his. So, oh well, it is what it is. And then we move on from that to the Drew attacking Sammy, which I thought was the exclamation point on that whole thing. Him attacking him in the back, basically what looks like breaking his knee. And I think this is going to write off Sami Zayn for a little while, which I think is needed. I think it's okay to write Sammy off for a while, get him off TV for a little bit while you get ready for Rumble season and WrestleMania, what you're going to do with Sammy. I think right now is a good time to give him a little bit of a break. So I thought that was pretty good. But I enjoyed that, because once again, slamming right on Drew being just a true, because that is 100% despicable heel, like you call you called him, just stomping on that knee, not having a care for the world, not having a care for him at that point, leave him there reeling and screaming. Sammy sold that pretty well too. Do you have any opinions on that, Cheese, on that little backstage segment? I thought that was my favorite backstage segment of the night, as far as intensity and what needed to drive Drew over the top on his heel run.
All I can say about that is Drew is doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He's going to swim with the sharks, and he's taking out the competition now. With Sammy not in that picture no more, right? Because where does Seth go next? He can't go to Sammy, that's for sure. Sammy's probably not going to come back to the Royal Rumble, right? I do think that when Sammy comes back, he's going to have another program with Drew. I think he's going to have another grudge match kind of equalizer, and I think Sammy will get his day. But I do think that Drew's doing exactly what he needs to do, which is thin out the herd. And he got Sami Zayn out of the way, put him on the shelf. He's despicable. What can you say?
A dirty dog. That's what he is. You can't say dirty though, right? Like, yeah, but he's a dog. He's a dog now.
That, right?
I don't know. At this point, I don't know what words are trademarked and which ones aren't at this point anymore.
We're gonna get canceled for using.
Like, I don't even know if we should. I don't even know if we should be saying yeet anymore. Maybe we're gonna charge us like 10 cents every time we say the word, I guess. Whoever owns that word, I don't know, but somebody owns it. That's why they can't use it anymore. Got anything for me? Got anything for us, Zero, on that exchange in the back with Sammy and Drew? Those are pretty.
Let me tell you something. I love the backstage attack. I wish he would have done more to the leg. I wish he would have cut it off. If he wants to go full on heel, that's what he's gonna need to do. He needs to knock everybody out of the way so he can get that title shot, and he can take home with that title.
I thought you were gonna say he needs to cut everybody's legs off. I was like, man, I don't know, man. I think that's.
Who's gonna go there too?
I think he might be committing murder at that point. He might not. He might want to go hiding for a little bit. I want to go. But that was a really, really good promo. That took up pretty between the first match and all that stuff. Probably took about the first, I'd say, 40 minutes of the show. Then we got into our second match of the night, which was Nia Jax versus Shayna Baszler, in a match that I feel like they're portraying Shayna as a face now, right?
Bizarre.
I don't know, weird. Right? It's kind of weird, right? It's strange. And the match itself, decent enough. Pretty standard Nia Jax match. Power, until the person can't take it anymore. Until she just overpowers them. And all this is doing, I don't really want to spend too much time on the match itself, but it's more about the setup. As we saw before this match, Becky and Shayna and Nia having a face-to-face in the back. I guess that's your next program for Becky. And that's what this is. Just kept Nia Jax strong enough to be able to face Becky whenever that is going to happen. And that's what you got after the match. Post-match beatdown. Actually, it wasn't even a post-match beatdown. It was just, I think, Becky just came out to go face-to-face. Nia Jax, chicken shit heel. She's going to do it on her time. And I think that's where we're going. That's going to be our next program for Becky. What do you think about that, Cheese? Do you like that Nia Jax is going to be the next program for Becky, or do you think Becky should be doing something different?
This stinks to me, man. I didn't understand it at all. I don't understand why Becky has a problem with Nia, right? That didn't register to me at all. Like, why, right? Like, Nia's this, like, I understand what the WWE is doing. They're building Nia up to make her credible so she can challenge the girls at the top of the division. But why does Becky need to come from the back to essentially challenge Nia, right? Nia hits the Annihilator, Becky comes out. They made Shayna look extremely weak in this match. I thought she was the one that actually put Nia on the shelf back in the day, and so now she comes out and she gets beat down. Becky comes out in just, I don't know, Becky fashion. I thought it stunk. I didn't like this setup. Whatever this is, I guess they just have to have a new matchup. I don't believe that Nia has what it takes right now with the few wins that she has to beat Becky Lynch, and I don't think anybody else does. I don't think anybody's buying it. So I'm selling this crap. That's my opinion.
What you got, Zero?
Let me tell you something, Jack. Shayna Baszler had this match in her palm of her hands until she German suplexed Nia straight onto her own head.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
How do you expect to win if you're all unconscious? You know what I mean? From there on, it was the Annihilator, and it was 1, 2, 3. But I will let you know, this is Nia Jax's third win in a row. They're setting her up for something with Becky. We don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, and the reasoning that what they're going with is, wow, they're like really going into the history books on this one. I think the whole punching of Becky's nose, God, I want to say that was back in like 2018. We're talking about almost 5 years ago since this happened.
Is that what this is about?
That's what they're surrounding this about, because to their credit, I guess, they never got the payoff, the one-on-one payoff on that because of everything that was going on. Of course, Becky did have to take some time off with that broken nose that she got. So they never paid it. They never paid it off. I don't know if it ever really needed to be paid off, but they never did. So they're using this as a way to kind of segue her back into, I never got my lick back for what you did to me. So now I'm coming to cash the receipt, as she said. I got the receipt for it. It's just like you said, Cheese. This is just to me, it just feels like a filler feud for Becky right now. I know they're building Nia Jax kind of strong here, but you kind of have to for anybody that's going to go up against Becky, right? If you want a credible challenger for her, but this thing has Becky Lynch winning all over it. They could surprise me, but if you have Nia Jax beat Becky, what does that do? Where do you take her from there? But I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of with you on that, and it came at the cost of just totally just Shayna Baszler doing anything at this point. I guess she just is what she is. Her and Zoe Stark now. They just are what they are. they're just lambs to the what is it? What's that?
Lambs to the slaughter. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Lambs to the slaughter. I usually mess up sayings like that. I'm surprised I got it right.
I was gonna say lambs to the feed, but that doesn't make any sense. Lambs to the slaughter. There you go.
Lambs to the slaughter. Got it.
There you go. And one thing that was kind of crazy up until all this point, no Judgment Day in the first hour of the show. No presence of Judgment Day at all. When for the past, 6 months or past year, not even, probably the past year, they've been the first thing you see, or they're in your face within the first 20 minutes of the show. And for the first time in a very, very long time, they were not the vocal point. They weren't even the vocal point of the show. So yeah. They were the.
That's why this show felt so weird, because Drew came out and I was like, what is happening right now?
No Judgment Day, and then we get the news that CM Punk will be, obviously we already knew that was going to be on SmackDown, but the more juicy part of it is he is confirmed as a free agent that can sign with any show he wants. So now I think we start the next part of the CM Punk story, which is who will he sign with. I would think that if SmackDown got Randy, that then Raw's going to get CM Punk. I do think Punk is better suited for the Raw roster right now anyways, but I guess they're going to build that out for a couple of weeks, I would assume, as to what show he goes to. He was not on Raw tonight. No CM Punk tonight, but he will be on SmackDown as he starts his free agent signing tour of 2023. And then, unless anybody has any comments on that, I think it was pretty laid out. Feel free to chime in on that if y'all want to. I mean, that's pretty much two. I mean, that segment lasted like 2 minutes.
CM Punk, most likely signing with Raw, I'm gonna guess, because of that potential program with Seth. That's the gem. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be the jewel that they're gonna have to hide that in their back pocket until WrestleMania. That's the jewel. That's the payoff right there.
Yeah, I mean that's a video segment on its own. What show do we think CM Punk will go to, and which show is he better suited for? Just an idea. But so we move on to match number 3 of the night, which is one that I was actually looking forward to see, which was DIY versus Imperium in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. They had a little backstage, segment in the back, still kind of planting the seeds of Imperium's implosion. But before the match starts, we get into the match, and I like the layout of this one too. I like the one win, and have one win for the first fall for Imperium, and have DIY come from behind to win the match. I did like that format. All these four guys worked so well together. It was about what you would expect from these 4 guys. High flying, lots of technical wrestling. Pretty clean looking match. There were a couple of little clunky things here and there, but nothing that distracted from the overall match itself. They got a lot of time to showcase. Once again, we do get into those weird commercial break things that can kind of take you out of the action a little bit, but every time they come back, you'd still be able to get right back in again. I do like that DIY wins this, and that they further the story of Imperium. I guess they're going to eventually implode. That's where they're going with it. And I believe it was Kaiser that took the last fall. They both got pinned. Vinci took the first fall for Imperium, and then Kaiser took the second one for Imperium. And I do love the meet in the middle finisher. That's one of my favorite finishers, tag team finishers in the game right now. It doesn't always come off clean, but it's still one of the better ones that I like. But it was a great tag team match. It was a good showcase of, once again, the rebuilding and the revamping of the tag team division in WWE, and then that's a good way to showcase it right there. What you got, Zero, on this match? Did you like watching DIY yet again?
Let me tell you something. I like DIY. I think they got all the juice to have what it takes to be a great tag team. As far as Imperium, they are imploding from within. It's like Vinci said. He was pointing fingers. He said, "You're going to have to explain this to Gunter. You're going to have to explain it to him because Kaiser was in the wrong this time. He had no idea what he was doing at the end. And how can you? You take 2 knees to the face. What are you going to think?" That's what I got to say about that. DIY never dies.
I like that.
Good take.
Yeah, that was a good. that was good. You're gonna have to bring the heat, Cheese, on that one.
I mean, yeah, like, God, I like DIY so much. Now, really quick, I want a history lesson from JT.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because my wife asked me this. Why are they called DIY? Can you give us a little bit of the background story of why they're called DIY?
Okay. I'm gonna try to cliff note this as the best way that I can. So, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were 2 guys in NXT that were singles competitors for quite a while during their early run in NXT. They both, flowed very, very well. Eventually, they created a tag team, and for a while, they were just Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. They didn't really have a name, didn't really have a moniker together, but slowly but surely, people saw that these guys work very, very well together. And their moniker and their whole thing was, well, if they aren't going to give it to us, we got to do it ourselves.
Mm,
So that's what they ran with it. Because up until that point, they were in the same. Remember, I don't know if you remember, but they were in the same tag team grouping with guys the Revival and
the
they and
revival.
yeah the Revival and the Authors of Pain during that whole boom with with all those guys. If you remember the Big Cass and all the when the tag team division in NXT was just off the charts with different tag teams in it, right? And they were the oddball guys. They didn't have the flashy tag team name, but people latched onto them for that kind of underdog, hardworking kind of tag team. So that was their moniker. If they're not going to give it to us, we got to do it ourselves. So there you go,
Awesome.
DIY, and they ran with it,
DIY.
and they ran with it until they had. I mean, this is just a side note for everyone and for you two guys too. If you haven't seen this one before, go back. I can't remember which. I'd have to look up and make sure I got the right takeover, but watch the takeover tag team match between DIY and FTR or the Revival.
The revival. I've
That's
seen that
one
one.
of the best tag team
One of the
matches
best matches
I've
I've
ever
seen.
seen in my entire life. My goodness. But it culminated their story. And of course, they go from there. And then the breakup of them was 10 times better the way that they laid that out. Like, it was insane. But that's what the DIY is. That's where the DIY comes from. That's what it's for. Unfortunately, it's been so long since that time. It's hard to kind of reintroduce people that might not know. You'd have to honestly just go back and look for yourself because they're not really going that far back and telling you this is why we are who we are. They're just kind of expecting you either to know or to just go back yourself and figure that out. Uh, why they're called that, because that's who they are. They're the underdogs, and nobody ever handed it everything to them, so they had to do it themselves. So that's where the name comes from.
Well, first of all, DIY, great competitors, amazing tag team from the things that I have seen because I did see that takeover, and that tag team match was insane. That was the first time that I had seen their finisher, and I was like, man, this finisher is fire. This finisher is amazing, right? Um, but I will say, last week they got off to a slow start. It looked like they had some ring rust. Rightfully so. I think Tommaso Ciampa came off an injury, and Johnny Gargano was in and out of, I guess, singles competitive matches. So they hadn't really had a lot of time to tag. In that, it was the gauntlet, right?
Yeah,
The six different teams. They missed a few of their moves. They mistimed their finisher. But I will say that this week they started to get better. I want to say that the first half of the match was still a little bit of a ring rust, but you could start seeing towards the middle they started catching fire, and you started hearing the crowd chants, right? This is awesome. This is awesome. They started getting it back, and I will say the probably last quarter of the match was awesome. It really was awesome. It was a beautiful thing to behold. Like, they were getting it right back to that part. They go for the finisher at the very end, and Kaiser does a terrible job of selling it. Like, he just puts his hands up like that, and he just like slowly falls over. I've seen this in the past where it looks like somebody's got their head knocked off.
yeah,
I mean, it looks like decapitation, right? From both ends.
yeah,
It's like a Kinshasa with a. I mean, it's
yeah.
terrible for whoever's in the
Hmm.
center of that. So, um, outside of that, I'm excited to see what DIY is going to do in the future. They look really, really good. I think that they're only going to get better from here. That's what it's starting to look like to me. I think that we're going to have future tag team champions on our hand. I really hope we get to see them at Mania.
That's a really, really good prediction there. And I just hope that what we're getting out of this is what I've been hoping for a while. It's just, let's make tag team wrestling matter again, because this company and this business and wrestling is only as good as the tag teams that you have. You got to have those tag teams to help you bounce off of those single. You can't just have singles feuds all over the place. You got to have a good solid tag team division. For the longest time, it's been plug in a guy A and B together, and they're the tag team champions now. Sometimes that works. Sometimes, a lot of the times it doesn't. So the fact that you're getting now the development of all of these tag teams, I think this tag division within the next year is going to be one of the hottest things in the business, in my opinion. And I think this is a good way to keep doing that. DIYs, they're great in ring guys. They got great characters. Just continue to build on them, like you said. I think that's, I'm glad that they actually won a match this time. At least they win, makes them look good, makes them credible. And I don't think Imperium, as much as I'd like them to stay together, I think we're headed for some kind of a breakup. And it looks like Kaiser is going to end up being that odd man out, which I find odd, but oh well. Oh, it is what it is, right? So we'll see how that goes in the coming weeks on that one. Then we move on to one of my favorite segments of the night, which was the first viewing of Judgment Day of the night is in their clubhouse, and guess who's there?
Clubhouse.
And guess who got them a TV? They got a TV. R-Truth got him a TV. He got him a.
I don't know if we would call it a TV these days. My goodness.
It was almost a flat screen, as R-Truth would call it.
Flat screen.
It was like the little TV that we played like PlayStation on back in the day. I like that.
But we did get confirmation.
Oh,
it is,
my God.
in actuality, a clubhouse. So we got confirmation.
We got Clubhouse again. It was called Clubhouse again. And R-Truth just, I love it. I love what they're doing here. I love that for whatever reason they've decided to inject R-Truth into the Judgment Day story. And it's working. I love it. It's funny. It's great.
Who thinks he's actually going to be part of the Judgment Day?
I don't.
If he's going to become...
I don't think he is. I think that's the funny part about it. It's just, it's hilarious right now what they're doing.
If he gets them a win?
With
what
him,
if he helps them get a win?
That would be really funny. And him calling JD Jimmy D. Jimmy D. Oh my God.
Zero. What you got? You got something on R-Truth?
On R-Truth being a part of the Judgment Day. Potentially.
Let me tell you something. Judgment Day has been needing a leader for a very long time, and I think they're finding the leader that they need right here before their very eyes. No leader that they had before has gotten them a TV, and guess what? In their clubhouse, they got a brand new TV. And guess what? Later on down the line, you see he's in there scouting his new teammates. He is going to be the future of Judgment Day, and he is going to be the leader that they have needed this whole time.
Dude, that's such a great prediction.
That's a great prediction. I don't think it'll happen, but that's a good prediction anyways. But he's obviously going to be involved in this story for a little while longer in some way or another. And that wouldn't be the last time that we would see R-Truth with the Judgment Day, which is even more funny. But surprisingly, I'm not sure why, but there was no mommy on this show tonight. She was not there, and the crowd did not like that. The crowd hated that. They were booing, and a couple of "We Want Mommy" chants started coming out, but no Rhea Ripley tonight. And I guess we'll just continue to see where the dissension or the story of the Judgment Day goes from here, as they still try to recover from their loss at Survivor Series. And that moves us on to... Yep. That moves us on to the what I do like to call the bathroom match, the bathroom break match of the night, which I actually did go and use it for a bathroom break. And that was the tag team match of Katana... of Kate Carter and Katana Chance versus Tegan Nox and Natalya. And with the tag team champs on commentary. And to be brutally honest, I did not see a minute of this match. I was literally using the bathroom and it missed this entire match. So I have no opinions other than the fact that I'm pretty sure it probably was not good. And I'm guessing, and I know that at least Chance and Carter won, and I'm guessing those are your next contenders for the tag team title, so whatever. So what do you got on that, Cheese? That's all I got. I'm sorry.
So I have 2 words to summarize this matchup for you since you missed it. You know what I mean? I know your bathroom breaks are important to you. But the two the 2 words are huge mess because that's what this match was. It was a botch fest, right? Those are the other two words you probably could have used in the place. It was bad, man. Like it was. I was really surprised because Natalia was in the ring and she was botching things just as bad as everybody else was. Tegan looked awful. I mean, awful with some of the moves that she was screwing up. There were some pretty basic moves that she wasn't making, connecting on. And I think at one point Natalia does what looks like to be like some sort of a slam off the ring, right? Like the ring post. I guess maybe the second rope, and she doesn't get it all. She actually drops. I think it is Kaden like right on her like neck, and then they end up hitting each other like on the. I mean, it was dangerous. It was really, really, really bad. Um, just not a good match. Terrible showing overall. The crowd was dead. R.I.P. Tegan. I don't think that this is a great showing of her talent at all. She hasn't really struck me with her personality either. I'm really kind of over Natalia. I really don't want to see her in too many more of these matches. I understand what they're doing as a ring general, but she needs to take like a sidestep, I think, and continue to push talent from the back. But because she's good, but she's not that good anymore, and she's not compelling to watch. Nobody, if the crowd is dead, that's not a good sign at all. So rough match.
Yeah, I found more entertainment in Maxine deadlifting Tozawa than I had any interest in watching that match. I believe it was also the shortest match on the card because I want to say I was in the bathroom for about 5 minutes and the match was over by the time I came out. So, I mean, you got any thoughts on that, Zero? Or can we move on?
Let me tell you something about the Kaden Carter and Katana Chance tag team. They have a nice finishing move with a double team handstand finisher, but their teamwork needs some work. There was a point where Katana Chance tagged herself in, and Kaden Carter took about 5 bumps before Katana Chance got her ass in there. She needs to do a better job as a teammate of just having better teamwork. What the hell's going on here?
What's going on is these women's tag teams are not doing themselves any favors and making the people really, really care about it right now. And I was hoping for something more out of it. And so far, we're not getting that. So we'll see how things go. But the women's tag team division definitely will need some kind of injection of something here pretty soon, or else it ain't going to really matter anymore.
They don't need to push this division. They really don't need to push it if it's not going to be quality. I think that it's okay to bring it back at some time, but they should not push it with matches like this because it doesn't do justice for that division. It doesn't do justice to the women that are not ready for it yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they're botching like this bad, I think at some point Triple H needs to say, hey, let's take our time with bringing back the tag team division because right now we don't have the personnel to do it, and we're just throwing out to coin your phrase, we're throwing out hodgepodges of people, just throwing them together and then saying, hey, go be a tag team. And you're not getting that with the men's side. So you got real tag teams on the men's side, guys that have worked together for a long time. So
yeah,
it's a little rough right now.
I feel like, I know y'all don't really watch it that often, but I feel like there are some more established good teams, women's tag teams on the NXT roster right now that are better than half of these tag teams on the main roster side, and maybe getting to that point here pretty soon where you may need to bring one or two of them up and truly actually utilize them against some of the better tag, because you're just getting a lot of mixed like hit or miss matches here with this women's tag team division. We'll see where it goes. And so then we move to what surprisingly was only our second, and I think it's our last. It's the second and the last in-ring segment promo with Cody. He comes out to address what goes on with what went on last week with him and Shinsuke Nakamura, and addresses getting misted and how that felt, all that, and then challenges. I thought it was kind of interesting that he came out in his ring gear. I was thinking that maybe he was going to set up like an impromptu match or something like that, because he usually doesn't come out in his ring gear. He came out He usually comes out in his suit, his suit and tie and whatnot. But Cody came out ready for a fight, and he was looking for one. Challenged Nakamura to come out, didn't. We got another Shinsuke, uh, produced promo, which those are always good to see. This one gave you kind of that direction as to why Shinsuke attacked Cody, and I kind of like it, to be honest, because I honestly had kind of forgot that Shinsuke won the Royal Rumble one year and also came up short, and he never got really to finish his. He never won that title, so we could easily see. I don't think it's going to happen, but what if that happened to Cody? What if he were to not be able to finish the story? So that's what they were trying to lay out here. I think it's a good way to just continue this feud for a while. I was expecting something else to happen in ring, like maybe another run in or something, but no, they kind of just left it at that, and that was the end of the promo. And we found out later on that we are actually going to be getting this match next week on TV. I'm gonna just throw it out here right now. That match is not gonna happen. It's advertised, but something's gonna happen before that. It isn't actually gonna happen, and I think they'll drag this out a little bit longer before they have the match. It's just what I'm thinking, because I'm like, man, that's really quick. 2 weeks of build and a match already. But maybe they could because of these 7 weeks that we have. But Zero, what do you got on this Cody promo? It was on this Cody Shinsuke promo.
Let me tell you something, Johnny T. Cody came out in wrestling gear because he can't afford to have another expensive suit. He missed it like that. Them dry cleaners are expensive, buddy, and he ain't gonna be having them pay for all them stains to be coming out, sucker.
You're all right about that, but I'm sure Cody can afford it. Have you seen his house? It looks. I don't think he's hurting for any money in it right now. But Cheesy, what you have on this promo? Do you think that this was a good way to continue this feud, and do you think they're actually going to have this match next week?
No, I think I'm with you on this one because it doesn't make too much sense for them to have this match next week. But I will say that if they do, it's going to be the main event, right? Like that's what we're looking at for the main event. Most likely, that's Cody Shinsuke. I mean, unless they're building up some sort of like 3 matches type of thing, where this is the first one, and maybe Shinsuke cheats on the first one or something like that, and then there's 3, Cody wins the final one or something like that. But I thought this segment was just okay, I guess you can say. Like Cody comes out, like you said, one of the things I noticed too is he was in wrestling gear, and he gets his Cody promo, he gets his Cody pyro, and he comes to the ring, and I'm thinking, okay, we get the vignette, and we get the the explanation from Shinsuke, and it's I mean, honestly, I felt that. Like, I felt that in my feels, because I was like, Shinsuke did get that kind of shaft treatment. Now, I will say that the way that they lost are 2 different things, right?
Correct.
Cody was screwed, and Shinsuke got beat clean. That's why Shinsuke got buried a little bit, too, after that. So, Cody's not, technically, if we want to be real about it, Roman's never beat Cody clean. Matter of fact, he probably would have lost if this had been a clean match, right? So that's why we still have that ability to finish the story. I think that while there are some similarities between him and Shinsuke, there's more differences. I think Cody has I think this is going to be great for Cody. I think it's going to be a great program. I'm still excited to see what they're going to do, but this particular promo was just okay. Nothing ended up happening, right? Cody just walked back to the back.
Yeah,
he didn't get a Shinsuke appearance or nothing.
It was pretty cut and dry, and but I did and I didn't like seeing those clips again, because oh man, it just brought back so many terrible feelings of, man, like just a side note, like God, they didn't capitalize on that time. What a time! Like Shinsuke Nakamura was so hot that year, and they did not capitalize on that like they should have. I understand.
I think it has to do with trust.
That's a whole nother story for another day. But what a moment I feel that oh god, that whole 2018 WrestleMania was something else, and I was there live for that WrestleMania, and my goodness, what a show that was, and the fans didn't get anything out of that. That's why by the end we were all fucking booing the end of that show because we were all fucking tired. We didn't get anything we really wanted out of that show at all. It was fucking horrible. But yeah, what a way to go back to that and just remind me that oh man, that was our Shinsuke Nakamura moment right there, and we never really got it. We never really got the cap on that, but good way to kind of segue her into this feud and to make the reasoning as to why we should matter or why we should care about this feud a little bit because oh okay, I see where they're going with this. So let's see if they actually do have that match. I think it's either going to be one or two things. They're either not going to do it, something's going to happen where they're going to have to push it back, or like you said, maybe this is the beginning of a series. This is the beginning of a series of matches. Maybe the match isn't a clear cut kind of thing, and that's where we kind of start this maybe two out of three kind of thing, or one win here, one win there, and then a rubber match, and maybe we get that at the Rumble or not. I don't think so, but I think this all happens all before the Rumble because you're saving Cody for the Rumble match. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to whenever that matchup happens, though. I'm looking forward to see how they both work in the ring because I think that'll be a good match. And no doubt that I think it'd be a good match. And so we go to from there. We go to what would be the match number 5 of the night, which is the only Judgment Day match on this card, and it happens to be with probably two of the worst members of the Judgment Day, in JD McDonough and Dirty Dom versus the Creed brothers, which just on paper, the size difference, the weight difference is just one thing in itself, and it definitely showed in this match. Geez, the Creed brothers pretty much winning this pretty handily and easily, but that R-Truth on the R-Truth ringside was a pretty good little. Well, I wasn't expecting that, and added a nice little wrinkle to it all. But the Creed brothers continue to look fantastic. Their finisher still looks really, really mean, and they're on a roll heading into whenever they decide to do the championship match between them and Damian and Finn Balor. And I do like that after this match, after the Creed brothers win, before before we get to the main event, we do get a small one more backstage segment between with Judgment Day, where Dom, once again, I like this because I liked how they did this last week, right? They're telling Damian, you may need to be careful with these Creed brothers because they are the real deal. Like, you should be scared of them because they're actually really freaking good. I like that so much because it is the heels who shouldn't be saying stuff like that, just telling you what it is, making you believe in the Creed brothers can actually do this. And now, to be honest with you, I feel like they can, and I feel like they will. I feel like when this match happens, I feel like the Creed brothers are going to be your next undisputed tag team champions. This build has been so good for them, and I hope it does culminate in that. I mean, what do you think about that, Azero? Do you think we are looking at the next undisputed tag team champions after their showing with the Judgment Day tonight?
Let me tell you something. The Creed brothers gave the B Team Judgment Day their last rites tonight.
The B Team.
They put them on a chopping block. You have Julius Creed giving them belly to belly release suplexes left and right, and then he's kipping it up like nothing. And then to make matters even worse, he gets both of them just like last week and gives them a double suplex. There's nothing else I can say about these guys except they are the cheese. Oh no, wait, that's you. Sorry, Tribal Cheese. Anyway, it looks like they worked on the Brutus ball a little bit. They've adjusted a little bit. You won't be seeing nobody getting hurt from that. They won't have to get a new finisher anytime soon. But the Judgment Day A team does have to look forward to facing the Creed brothers, especially with Captain R-Truth watching the match and analyzing a little bit of it. What do you got, Cheese? Talk to me.
I mean, yeah, dude. Like, man, I want to believe it so bad. Like, I want to believe so bad that the Creed brothers can do this, right? I mean, this is what I was talking about, building them up to be. Even if they don't do it, nobody's gonna take away from them that they're not legit. When I see the Creed brothers, though, I see a lack of charisma still, especially when it comes to promos. But gosh, for all that lack of charisma, what they do in the ring is beautiful, man. I mean, it is masterclass what they do in the ring. You would never guess that they just kind of just made their way onto Raw, right? You got guys like Street Profits that have been around for a long time, good tag team, and you would probably say that they deserve the undisputed titles a little bit before the Creed brothers do. But just the Creed brothers are amazing, and they make technical wrestling fun. I mean, dude, I'm watching them with a smile on my face. I feel happy watching the Creed brothers, man. Like they're just so good in the ring, you know. And I completely agree, Zero. The Brutus ball got safer. I noticed that he was kind of veering off a little bit to the right, so he don't land right on JD McDonough, which wouldn't surprise me because he's been getting the worst of it over like the last few weeks. But I mean, once again, man, the Creed brothers are legit. And just a side note, Dom should never wear those boots again. I don't know what those boots were, but he should never wear those boots again. So, dude, they're man. Well, they did Dom dirty. This time he's not dirty Dom. They did Dom dirty because, like, my goodness, he just every week after week, he just doesn't look like a real threat. Like, there's nothing about him that's threatening, and I mean, he gets thrown around. So, I mean, I think he did the Three Amigos, and then what is it? Julius finished off the last
Yeah.
suplex for him. So very impressed by the Creed brothers. Do I think that they're going to win the tag team championship? What my heart wants to say yes, but I've never seen this happen before. Not this quickly, right? And remember, I always say there's a big factor in trust.
Sure.
Right? There's a trust factor. You know, if you're going to hold the titles for us, you're going to represent the WWE. We need to know who you are. They didn't put Shinsuke as the champion after that hot streak that they had, but they had not built that trust in him yet. I don't know if they do that with the Creed brothers here. I don't know if that's the way they're going to go here because we know what we get with the Judgment Day. These guys, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, we know day in, day out. As you said before, they've been for the last year. They make sure to get to Raw. They make sure to be there. They make sure to be professionals. I don't know if we get there with the Creed brothers yet, but even if we don't, we have a new legitimate tag team in the division, and nobody's going to take them away.
Oh,
Creed
for
brothers, sorry for calling you the Global Gym Brothers, but you guys are completely 100% legit.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that they fall into that category of whenever they have this match, right? It's probably not going to be a clean one because of the way the Judgment Day does their thing, but they do have another woman to counterattack Rhea. They have Ivy Nile with them, so that's going to be an interesting cog in there because that's the advantage that the Judgment Day has had a lot versus a lot of these other tag teams that they don't have somebody to counterattack the outside presence of Rhea Ripley. Well, Creed brothers have that, right? So that's another reason why this could be a very interesting outcome here as we move forward. But I think in this case, even if they lose to the Judgment Day, it doesn't hurt. It won't hurt them. It won't hurt them at all. I think they'll still be able to showcase them in a way that does continue to make them credible. And at some point, you will want to put a title on that team at some point and down the line. But I would also not be surprised in the least if we got some shock value here and they put the titles on them. I'm not saying they need to go and have a 6-month or 1-year run with those titles. It can be transitional. That's fine. It can be a month. It can be 2 months long. That's fine. But that just shows that you care about the tag team division enough to make the tag teams win. If they prove it and they show it, then that's what you're looking for out of your tag teams. And then from there, you can bring all the other tag teams and you can have so many different kinds of matchups. I don't think in the long term that Finn Balor and Damian Priest are long for the tag team division for very long because they're already at that point where at their age. I don't think you want to keep them there for too much longer. I think you need to do something different with them other than just being a tag team. But I could see them holding on to it for a little bit longer. Maybe they keep them all the way till WrestleMania or something like that. But
I will say you will get some hella good matches with the Creed brothers as champs. If you look at the 6 teams that were in the gauntlet match, you will get some.
those are all your matches right there. Those are all your
Yep.
matchups, and plus, like you just said, on the SmackDown side, Street Profits right there. That's a good heel team against a good babyface team. Although I think that team is headed to having to be forced to be face because from what I've been hearing, even the live crowds at the live shows are not booing Bobby anymore. They're cheering for him. So, I mean, like you might have to turn that team face. I don't know, or you may need to make them destroy somebody. I don't know, but the fans are not. But either way, tag team division looks good. I think this is a good way to continue to showcase that. And these guys are legitimate, and maybe they actually win. So overall, this Raw on paper, before I even watched the show, I thought it would be a pretty good show just watching it on paper, even with no Rhea Ripley on the show, no CM Punk on the show. This was still a pretty good showing of Raw. It had me in tune for most of the show. You had a couple of lag segments there. That tag team match I didn't even bother watching, and I don't think I need to go back and watch it at all. But that was really your only kind of like dull moment of the show, I thought. And I'm looking forward. This show really did push forward the stories that are going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. So I thought it did everything it needed to do. It kept me in. It kept me in tune, and I enjoyed it. So overall, I think I would give this Raw a solid A minus. I think for this Raw tonight. Go ahead and give us your grade, Cheese, on what you thought of Raw.
I think I'm gonna piggyback off of you. I might even go a level above you. I think I'm gonna give it a solid A because when I look at the card, you got the Creed brothers, which was a freaking awesome match. You got Jey Uso versus Seth, which was a freaking awesome match, and then you got DIY Imperium, which was pretty good. It wasn't the best, but I thought it was. If I was to give that a grade, it'd probably be a B plus, an A minus, somewhere between those two. And then you got your Drew Sammy, which was a freaking awesome match, right? So you got potentially 4 freaking awesome matches, some decent promos. I will say the only stinkers, unfortunately, were the women tonight, the tag teams, and then Nia Jax wasn't the worst, but maybe a B minus, a B right in there somewhere. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and give this entire show in its totality probably an A. I think I'm gonna stop there.
Okay, that sounds good. What you got, Zero? Give us your
Let me tell.
give us your immaculate saying when you give us this grade, please.
Let me tell you something. This show started with an A plus and it ended with an A plus. I'm gonna give it a solid A because you had 2 snoozer matches in between. But other than that, it was a great show, and I would watch it again.
It definitely was one you could definitely go back and watch. I will say that. So what do we have to look forward to next week? So we know for 2 things for sure. We have the potential matchup of CM Punk of Cody Rhodes versus Shinsuke Nakamura. If we get that match, I'm really looking forward to how it's gonna look. Think that'll be a good matchup. And then we also did get announced that next week CM Punk will be back on Raw after his venture over to SmackDown on Friday as we continue the free agent tour of CM Punk, where I believe Adam Pearce has said he will sign CM Punk here pretty soon, as quickly as possible. We'll see and find out what CM Punk has to say next week on Raw. So that's what we have to look forward to there. This Friday is the annual Tribute to the Troops Friday Night SmackDown show. So CM Punk will also be on that show. There will be the fallout from last week's show where Randy Orton is now exclusively on SmackDown. I don't think they advertised anything else for SmackDown. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong. Did they advertise anything else other than those 2 things for SmackDown this Friday?
No, I don't think so. I think Raw is killing SmackDown right now pretty bad. I think the last 2 shows we've given 2 A's, and I think we gave SmackDown show this last week a C. So I'm hoping we don't get the same result this week.
I'm hoping so too, but we do have a couple of things to look forward to for that, and so we'll see how it goes as SmackDown rolls through their the new injection of venom in their show. So we'll see if that helps out their show at all. But we'll be here again to review that one. I feel like I want to go ahead and change my grade at this point for this Raw, and for one last time, I'm gonna give this show a yeet out of yeet.
Yeet out of yeet. You're paying royalties on that yeet, sir.
I don't know who.
You're
gonna have to come at me with that because I don't even know who owns the damn thing. And I'm not coining it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying it. It's a verb, and I'm using it.
We're not taking the podcast down. We're not taking it away from the 15 people that watch us every week. So.
Go ahead. Come at me, YouTube. What you got?
See what happens.
Give me your worst, YouTube. What do you got? Show me your worst. I'll give it to you. But hey, guys, once again, thanks for tuning in. Thank y'all so very much for all the support. If you're new to the channel, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave any comments you want. We'll go through and read them, and we'll interact with y'all. Just leave them if you want to. Remember to ring the bell so that you get the notifications when we drop new content. Hopefully, we'll be dropping more things on the channel other than our usual review podcast here in the future, so stay tuned for those things. But until next time, that's the Tribal Cheese, that's Mr. Zero, and I'm Johnny T. And this has been the Springboard Plancha Podcast. We will see you next time.